I'm going to say it again just for the sake of the recording. We are going to start lying down on our backs. So once you find that position lying down on your back in that Shavasana style position, right? Your feet can be on the ground with the knees bent. If it is better for you to have your legs extended all the way out, do not make a judgment about which one is better. Simply do the one that feels better in your body this morning. Welcome to my friends who just joined, who I cannot see because I'm not close to my screen. Welcome, welcome. And have those arms out, those palms up. So, speaking of the sacrum, we were speaking about that in our little chat ahead of time, right? And about how a lot of people are feeling like when we start to open up the hips, it starts to release things going up the spine, low back, the upper back, the neck, etc. So I want you to pay attention to your sacrum right now. If you're not familiar with your sacrum, it is a triangular based bone that you are resting on right now down in the pelvis, right? There are other parts to the hips, but this is the triangular shaped bone. And the point of it goes down to, if you're thinking of a pyramid, right? The point of it that would go up towards the sky in a pyramid goes down to your tailbone, and that will be the crux, what we'll call the crux of your pyramid. So I just want you to feel the weight of that triangular bone, the sacrum, the pelvis, all the organs that sit on top of that bone right now as we are lying on our backs. Also noticing a couple of other things about this area, the sacrum, right? Does your right side feel heavier than your left or vice versa, or they feel pretty evenly distributed? Take your time and really invest tuning into that. It may be that one is heavier, but you might not feel it because it's been your normal for so many years, right? That you don't even notice the difference, but you might start to notice that. And then the other way I want you to check into the pelvis is, does your right hip move closer up to the right shoulder or vice versa? Maybe you feel that it's your left, but does one side of your hips, now we're not just the sacrum, we're also the whole hip joint, right? But does one side of your pelvis move up closer to its respective shoulder than the other? And that might be something that maybe you're just noticing right now, oh my gosh, my right side is so tight, tense, right? I've contracted it. And maybe just in releasing the muscles, you start to feel the hips gently move away, or that side of the hip gently move away from the shoulder. But it might be that that's kind of bound up. And we'll try to get into that. And then go ahead and take your time, scan through the rest of the body. All those bits and pieces that maybe have tension. And although I would argue that you have sensation everywhere in your body, notice the parts that have the bigger sensation. That might be what I'll say talking to you today. Maybe saying, hey, be gentle with me, be tender with me, love me. That might be current injuries or past injuries. That might be something that you maybe stepped a little goofy yesterday in your ankle, whatever that might be. Just notice all those places in your body that are potentially talking to you right now. Once you've got a pretty good grasp on where your physical body is at this moment, go ahead and tune into your breath. And I like to remind folks, you don't have to change it right off the bat. It can be a really helpful tool to understanding where you are, to just pay attention to it. If it's all really shallow and up in the chest, then we are probably a little bit more in our sympathetic system, our fight and flight. That doesn't have to be a bad thing all the time. We do want to be in there every once in a while. We do need cortisol every once in a while. We would not get a darn thing done if we didn't have it. But we don't want it to be ignited all the time. And lately, for many of us, it has been, right? We're in adrenal fatigue, many of us at this point in time. So now do invite the breath to deepen. Invite the breath to come all the way down into your belly, I would say all the way down to the pubic bone and the tailbone. And you're not trying to make that happen. You're just allowing it to happen, right? So again, we're inviting the breath to come all the way down to our tailbone and our pubic bone. And with your exhale, maybe you feel the weight of that sacrum. And then let's go ahead and start to move. We're going to start with that half frog business. So if your feet are on the ground, go ahead and extend your legs all the way out to straight so we're together. But we're going to do it on one side first and then on the other, which we have not been doing, right? So if this is a newer move to you, although I think most of the people I saw have been with me before, you're going to drag that right heel back, letting that right knee move out to the right. And you let it move all the way forward. Can you sync the breath up with that? So now you're going to find your own rhythm. You know the movement. It's just the right side. We're not alternating, just the right side. You keep dragging that heel up on the inhale and exhaling that heel down on your exhale. You are not in a rush. You do not have to do 12 of these, right? There's no set amount. It's more about connecting with the body. Can you engage as few muscles as possible and let that thigh have weight as you move the heel in and out, right? So trying to use as few muscles as possible, being gentle with the motion, not worrying about how many you do or how high the heel gets towards your pubic bone. You're not going to get an extra 12 points if you hit your buttocks bone, right? You're just starting to say, oh, hello, right hippie. And then one more thing to add in, and then we'll complete this piece, is when you bring that right leg up, notice, does the right side of your sacrum and hip rock down to the ground? And does your left side come up a little bit? And you're not trying to stop that. You're allowing it to happen. You're noticing. That's all you're doing. And just notice how this feels. Is there an ease to it on this side? And you'll be able to determine that a little more when we do the other side. And then once that right heel is moved down, you're going to pause and let that leg be nice and soft. Everything is nice and soft, including the jaw and the shoulders and the neck and the upper back. And you're just noticing that right leg slash hip slash sacrum, low back, anything else you feel. And then the left side. Now we're going to do that same series on the left. So that left heel is going to slide up. Don't worry about how high and don't move fast. Reach that heel down on your exhale. So now you're going to take it on your own breath. Yeah? You slide the heel up on the inhale. And when you slide down on the exhale. Part of the reason I want you to move slow here is because I want you to move so slow that you can engage as few muscles as possible. Whether or not you're aware of this, when you move quickly, you usually have some of your really large gross muscles, right? That's your large muscles. Your gross muscles will just kind of jam on and take over, like the psoas and the inner thigh and things like that. We're trying not to let those engage or as little as they need to for this motion. Letting the left thigh have as much weight as possible as it moves through its motion. And then start to pay attention now to the left side of the hip and the sacrum. Again, is there a rocking motion? When you bring the heel up, does your left hip and sacrum rock down and over to the left? And maybe it doesn't, right? But you're just noticing. And then the last thing is, I would love for you to notice if this feels different than the other side. And maybe it feels the same. Notice if it feels the same. Notice if it feels different. And maybe there's a little bit of both of those things going on. But probably one side, right, maybe potentially has a little more ease to it, we'll say, a little more sukha, right? And then go ahead and let that left heel stretch out and pause and just let the legs be nice and soft here. And again, noticing that left hip, sacrum, leg, low back, anything that you're feeling on that left side and the right side. I like to think of us as opening up channels of energy. So maybe you're noticing some new energy and sensation in the body. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring that right heel back just like we did, but this time we're going to reach the right knee up to the sky, foot on the ground. And then super lazy like, do the same thing with the left leg. So again, trying not to engage too many muscles. We're just gonna put the feet on the ground with the knees bent. That's the nice, easy way for the body to do that. Now from there, go ahead and bring the right knee into the chest, and you're gonna interlace around your right shin or behind the thigh, whatever's right for you, and just simply gently hug the leg in. You're not trying to win a race of how tight you can get the knee into the chest. When you do that, you're probably tightening your whole upper back and your shoulders round up to the ceiling, etc. So try to keep your spine nice and long, even as you gently hug the right knee in. Interlace behind the right thigh, push the right heel up to the sky. Right? Your leg does not have to be straight. You can work with a strap, but we're not going to be here for a real long time. And if I could, I would have you push that heel up. And I want you to imagine that right now I put my forearms on your heel and very gently push down, not to bend your knee, but to sink your right femur bone into the socket a little bit deeper. The acetabulum, it's called. It's a very fancy word for socket, ball, ball of the ball and socket. And from there, pushing that heel up, put that foot down on the ground. Bring the left knee in, interlacing behind the thigh or in front of the shin. And again, rather than trying to whoop that knee into the chest, keep the spine nice and long and just really gently let that knee soften towards the chest, feeling how maybe that starts to lengthen your lower left back and the muscles that run across the top of the sacrum, maybe the glutes, right? Whatever you're feeling. You might even be getting hamstring a little bit with this. Let's amplify hamstring. Interlace behind the thigh, pushing the left heel up to the sky, any amount. You can totally have a bent knee. The point is not a straight leg. The point is to feel the back of the leg opening. Hopefully your shoulders and your jaw and your tongue are still soft. And then imagine, if you will, that I very gently put my forearms on your left heel and put just a little, the lightest amount of pressure down so that that left femur bone sinks a little deeper down into the left hip socket. But you're still pushing up with that. And go ahead and bring that foot down on the ground. Now we're going to do that move that we did on Tuesday, happy baby. So the right leg's going to come up. It's going to go a little wide. Your arm comes inside the leg and you're grabbing the ankle, the shin, the pinky edge of the foot, whatever works for you. Awesome. The left leg simply falls out gently to the left in what we would call as half Supta Baddha Konasana, half bound angle, right? And I'm demonstrating if you're like, what? But then put your head back down and please don't strain your neck. Take an inhale, and with your exhale, you're going to rock your right knee down to the ground, letting the left hip lift a little bit. And inhaling back to your neutral. This is what we're going to call neutral, by the way. Exhaling, right knee moving down to the ground, letting the left hip lift if it wants to. And inhale, and notice, are you really trying to yank that knee down to the ground? Don't let that be the objective. Bring your awareness into your hips. As you pull the knee down, feel how you start to get a stretch through your hips, right? And back to neutral. And one more time, we're going to rock that right knee down. Now hold it there, wherever it got to. Awesome. And I want you to imagine that I ever so gently put a 5 to 10 pound weight, whatever works for your imagination, on the left thigh, and see if you can keep the right knee where it is, but let that left hip have a little more weight, a little more energetic motion towards the left floor. Yeah, the left floor, the floor. Sink that left hip back down and lift the left knee up. Bring the right foot down to the ground. Pause. We're doing different things, but both hips are getting their workout, right? So check into your hips. What's happening in there, man? Bring that left knee up. And the left knee a little wider than the ribs, and then bring that left hand to the outside of that leg, wherever you get, right? Don't have an objective that you need the pinky toes. No, you don't. Let the right knee swoosh out to the right and soften in. What happens when you start to work softly and subtly with your body? How does your body respond when you show it you love it? Yeah? Go ahead and exhale that left knee down to the ground as the right hip lifts towards the ground, not to the ground, sorry. Inhale and exhale, left knee down towards the ground, whatever that is in your body, right hip can lift. And we got 2 more of those, friends. So just let this gentle rocking motion start to coax the opening of the hips. As I shared with you on Tuesday, let that left knee stay down wherever it gets to. Imagine that 5 to 10 pound weight on the right hip crease, just really gently. That right hip moves down towards the ground, any amount. And let the right hip move down, let the right knee move up, let the left foot come down, and pause. I'll continue what I was interrupted myself. I can even interrupt myself. I'm so good at talking, right? Your muscles around your pelvis and the upper legs are some of the biggest, sinewiest, strongest muscles of the body. Be so slow, gentle, kind, and patient with them, okay? Walk your feet together. Let your knees go out into full Supta Baddha Konasana. And if this does not feel okay with your hips, you can lift the legs, not the hips, but you lift the legs and you jam fist pillows in right at your hip joint and then let the legs come out. We're not going to be here for long, but we will be here for 3 breaths. Inhale, soft belly breath, all the way to the pubic and the tailbone. Exhale, how soft can you get through your hip joints? And there might be protectivism there. If there is, notice it. Inhale and coming all the way down. And then you might put fists in if they're like, no, I will not let go. And exhale, that's your body talking to you. Maybe you should listen. One more. Inhale and exhale. Now, instead of bringing the knees up, I just want you to scoot the heels forward so your legs are in the position that we started our movement with. Pause for just 2 breaths, and I want you to notice if your body feels any different than when you first laid down on the ground. Okay, let's add a twist, and then we're actually going to come on up off of our backs. Some of y'all are like, no, and some of you are like, thank goodness. Put that right foot on the ground, knee bent, tee the arms out. We're going to work this soft, gentle twist we've been working. Push into the right heel and let your right hip lift. Boop. And let that hip come back down. If you want to add the turning of the head, as the right hip lifts, you would turn your head to the right. And just go ahead and find your own rhythm. We're going to do this a few times. I say a few. We're all moving at different paces right now. But hopefully you're all moving to a nice, slow, soft belly breath. Right? Now, the next time you have the right hip up, leave the right hip up, soften the right shoulder down, and then maybe, right, you swing or gently lift the right knee on that same angle. It stays towards the ground as it starts to move up towards your shoulder, and you might put your left hand on your outer right knee. If that does not feel right for you, stay where you were, please. Take an inhale, and let that right foot come back to the ground so you roll down nice and gently. Let the right leg extend out. Left foot on the ground, knee bent. And first it's just the pushing. We're not lifting the foot. Push into the foot to lift the hip, right? So start out nice and gentle. We'll get to that bigger one in a little bit. Maybe as you lift the left hip, the head turns to the left. I don't know. How's it feel in your neck? And if it doesn't feel good, why on earth would you do it, right? Just starting to unwind that spinal column. We haven't worked with the spine a whole lot yet. And then the next time you end up over there, the left hip lifted, I'll say, keep the left shoulder grounded. You might stay just like this. You might let that left knee kind of swing up towards the right shoulder, bringing the right hand to the outer left thigh. Many of my friends know this twist. We usually just go straight into it. Today, we just worked into it differently. And to come out of it, we're going to bring the left foot back down to the earth and then gently roll down. Extend those legs out, come into Shavasana just for about 2 more breaths. And one more time, check into the muscles alongside your spinal column and anything else you're noticing sensation in. And we are going to come up. So we're going to roll over instead of just blasting up. Since we've been trying to soften the body, let's stay with that. Come up through the fetal position. And let's go ahead and we're going to clear our blanket right off the bat. If you want a knee pillow, fold it up, that couple of folds or whatever you need to do. I'm not with you. I'm not sure what your blanket looks like. And put that blanket down for your kneesies. And come on up to hands and knees. Let's do a couple of cat-cows just to wake up our spine a little more. Inhaling, reaching the chest forward. And again, you don't have to be with me. Y'all know this pretty darn good. Exhale, pull the belly up, round the spine up. So now that's the pattern, right? So go ahead and just start working through your cat-cows. The thing I'd like to add in today, if I may, is that I would love for you to really gently squeeze an imaginary block between your thighs. If you have a block, you might even put it in there and be like, what does that feel like? What does that engage? What does that do? What I'm hoping it does, whether you're working with an actual block or not, is that as you move those thighs gently into the block, we start to engage our inner groin a little bit. It's true, but can you feel how the pelvic floor gets a little lift and how maybe that keeps your low back a little more supported? For any of my friends with low back sensitivity, if there's one thing I can impart to you, it's really important to get your pelvic floor to engage. It's one of the best things you can do for the low back, right? Supporting the low back, in my belief. And come back to neutral. We're gonna walk our hands out. So if, like me, you're a little close to the front of your mat, you might move yourself back just a little bit. And then we're gonna keep our hips over our knees and start to walk our hands out towards downward dog or half downward dog, or what some people call puppy dog, right? So from there, as you push down into your hands and finger pads, you're gonna push not only down, but a little forward and see if you can move those hips back. And you remember that triangle, that pyramid of the pelvis, of the sacrum that I pointed out? So what happens if the pyramid, right, that tailbone, the crux of the tailbone reaches back behind you, away from your hands? Take one more breath. And from there, walk your hands back. A brief child's pose before downward dog. Knees can go wide if that feels good in your body. You can bring the forehead down to the ground. Again, I'm going to keep my head lifted with fist pillows, but sometimes I use fist pillows just because it feels better on my neck and upper back. So again, what variation of child's pose feels the best in the body that you have right now at this moment? Not your body from 2 days ago, not your body from 2 months ago, definitely not 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I know some of y'all are younger than me, some of y'all are older, but you know, I can even say at this point in time, being 47, my body from like 30 years ago. And then from there, you're gonna stretch your arms out in front of you, plant those palms down. Every once in a while, I pretend like I'm 17 again. Nope. And from there, you're gonna inhale up to hands and knees. And then my body's like, what are you doing, woman? Exhale back to downward facing dog. And this first downward dog, feel free to pedal the legs, bending one knee, straightening the other, right? Or maybe swaying those hips side to side. As always, my request is instead of just fidgeting to fidget, be intentional. Why are you doing those motions? What do they open up in your body? What do they give you? What benefit is there, right? And then come to neutral. Your knees can totally be bent. Your heels can be up. As a matter of fact, actually, everybody, pick your heels up and bend your knees a little bit. Now your pyramid, right, the top of your triangle is still the tailbone because we are in the pyramid of downward dog. So your hands and your feet, and if you drew a line between them on the ground, that would be the bottom of your triangle. So can you get your tailbone to really reach up and lengthen like the top of a pyramid, and then slowly, any amount, straighten the legs and start to bring the heels down. They never have to come all the way down. If your spine just rounded forward, why would you do that? Take a breath. That tailbone is the crux. Let that tailbone be the top of your pyramid, reaching up. For today, anyway. Walk your hands back to your feet. You'll end up at the back of your mat. Hands on the shins, reaching the chest forward. And exhale, folding in. Hands on the shins, reaching that chest forward. And exhale, folding in. Hands on the rim of the pelvis, elbows up, inhale, come all the way up, still that long, strong spine, bringing you all the way up. Welcome. And I know not all my friends have blocks, but you know, if you have them and you want them, you may or may not, you always put them at the front, and that way you'll have them if you should need them. So standing up nice and tall at the front of your mat. Inhale, reach those arms out and up. Exhale, folding in. Let's do a half salutation first, and then we'll get moving. Hands on the shins, reaching the chest forward. And exhale, folding in, making sure you're doing what your body needs today, taking modifications if you need them. Inhale, reach the arms out and up. I'll try to give you many options, as always. Exhale, reaching the arms out and down. We're just going to kind of keep moving and adding on. Inhale. If any of you have been feeling lethargic, exhale, fold, low, depressed, heavy. Inhale, reach the chest forward. The people that I follow, psychologists and such, say that's where we are collectively. Bending the knees, planting the hands, stepping the left foot back. Bring the left knee down, uncurl the toes, inhale, arms forward and up. So we're gonna counter it with movement, right? Right hand, right thigh, lengthen out of the left side waist and maybe a little bit over to the right just to say hi to the top of the left side waist. I even feel it in the front of my left hip, yeah. Inhale back to neutral. Let's bring it right into a twist. Reach forward, left hand on block or ground under left shoulder. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, wringing out the spine. Because I say wringing, that doesn't mean you have to act like it's a washcloth and you're getting every drop of water off. Don't kill yourself. Maybe the right arm reaches up. Inhale. Exhale, hand comes down. We step back to downward facing dog. Moving the block if you're working with the block. And again, when you get into that downward dog, if it helps you to imagine that you are a triangle, you are a pyramid right now, right? Your hands push forward and down, your heels push down and back, and then can that tailbone, and I don't often teach from the tailbone, but for today's purposes, let that tailbone be the crux of your pyramid reaching up. Inhale the left leg into the air behind you and step it forward between the hands, bringing the right heel down, knee down, uncurl the toes, inhale up into your low lunge. Frontal hip points, inner groin, pelvic floor. Reach out of that right side body and reach over to the left so you feel that right side body and right hip, front hip, start to open. Be patient, loving, and kind with yourself. Inhale, neutral, and then reaching forward, block or no block, under hand. Inhale, chest forward. Exhale, and turning towards the left, towards your left knee. Once you get there, again, don't wring yourself out too much. Maybe that left arm reaches up. We're just starting to play, yeah? Take an inhale. And exhale, bringing the hand down, stepping forward to the top of your mat. Inhale, reaching the chest forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reaching the arms out. You know you can put your hands on the hips at any point in time for your low back, yeah? Exhale, we meet with our arms down by our side, going right into it again. Inhale, nice, slow, steady movement. Exhale, folding on the breath, trying to get our energy to get up and start moving. Inhale and reach the chest forward while still keeping our nervous system calm. Stepping right foot back. Right knee down and curl the toes. Inhale up into low lunge. This time we're going to move right on the breath. We're exhaling down and back to downward dog. That's all one exhale. If you need a little extra time, you take it. It's not a big deal. We'll stay here for one breath so we can all catch up. Better than mustard. Just kidding. Inhale the right leg up in the air behind you. Exhale it forward between the hands. Knee down and curl the toes. Inhale, reach that forward and up. Exhale, hands down, stepping left foot forward, top of your mat. Inhale, chest forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reaching the arms out and up, coming all the way up. Exhale, arms down. Adding on, going right into it. Inhale. Exhale. Don't feel like you have to move fast. Inhale, we're just slow and steady, like a meditation. We're on the breath. Bending the knees, planting the hands, right leg back and then left leg. Pause before you move the left leg back and move the blanket if you're working with the blanket. Stepping back to plank. Wrist issues can go to fists or to forearms, right? Find out what works best for you. Knees down is another option. Take one more breath. We're coming to the earth. Come forward on your tippy toes, bending the elbows. Knees can totally come down to assist you coming down. Uncurl the toes, pressing the tops of the feet. Inhale, chest forward. 3 of those. Exhale, coming down. Tops of the feet push down, thighs lift, tailbone down. Inhale. Lifting up into low cobra. Exhale. This time when you lift up, we'll pause. Inhale. Once you get there, can you traction your belly button forward towards the front of your mat, but can you traction your hands to the back? They don't move, it's traction, right? So it's a pulling action, and hopefully that maybe gets my low back longer and opens my chest more. And coming down, Core challenge. Curl your toes under, lift the thighs, elbows in, take an inhale and an exhale, pull your belly in. You can bring your knees down for this, or exhale, come through your push-up. Knees or no knees, they're all awesome. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Breathe. Maybe thinking about that pyramid shape here, and can that tailbone reach straight up out of the top of your pyramid? Inhale. And on your exhale, you're going to look forward, come up on the tippy toes, look forward, step or jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, reach the chest forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, arms down, going right in again. Inhale, take a break if you need to, by all means. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees if that feels better. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Bend the knees, plant the hands, step the left foot back and then the right foot. And you're going to come right through your push-up. Knees can totally come down. You can be on forearms or fists. Inhale. If upward dog feels like it's in your realm, now we add in the upward dog. If you don't know it, stay in low cobra. Curl the toes under. Back to downward dog. Pardon me. Breathing. Now we're going to go into a standing series. I'm going to have us reach the left leg up into the air behind you and step it forward to the top of the mat, bringing the right heel down, right? So now from there, we're going to go into side angle in a really strange way. So you might need to look at the device for a second, but then try not to so you don't hurt your neck. You're going to bring your hand, your right hand inside the right foot. Left, am I mirroring you? Oh my gosh. The left hand inside the left foot. I'm not, right? And you may use a block. So I'm not mirroring you. I'm going to be going the opposite way of you. I apologize. I didn't set that up very well. From there, put the right hand on the hip. I'm not mirroring you. Let that right elbow, that right shoulder roll back. Now, option. You can bring your arm up to your leg if that feels better in your body. And if you're not rolling all the way open, it's okay today. Just challenge it and try to roll open as much as you can here, working from this place. You're going to bring the right hand back and you're going to try to pull the left hip into the socket. And then keep that, and maybe that arm is going to reach all the way over. My palm turns down, my pinky finger rotates to the earth so I can bring the bicep by the ear-ish, whatever that is for you. That right heel down, reach the right arm away. Now this is probably going to be the most challenging thing you do today. I love you. Let me say that ahead of time. Do not come out of the bend of the left leg, or I'm going to come over to your house and cough on you. Inhale up to warrior two. Oh my God, this kills me every time. Holy crap, we're lower than usual. That was a workout, wasn't it? And let's almost get out of here. Quick like. Right hand, right thigh, left arm up, palm behind you. Keep that left thigh low. Do not lift it up no matter how much you want to. That said, you know you can come out of it and come back in. And then bring it all the way down. Woo-wee. Good morning. Step back. Go to downward dog or child's pose if you're like, no way, Jose. If you'd like that heat, come forward on the tippy toes. Come through your push-up into your upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale back. Downward facing dog. What I am trying to do is get us out of lethargy and depression. If you happen to be there with me, this has been me the past few days, right? But we don't want to deplete ourselves. So you want to work at a place where hopefully you walk away with more energy than when you started the class and you don't feel like you're depleted. Take an inhale. That's a tricky thing to find. Come up on the tippy toes, bend the knees, look forward, step or jump to the top of your mat. I am type A eager beaver, so as you can imagine, for my first number of years in yoga, inhale, reach the chest forward. I depleted myself many times. Exhale, folding all the way in. It wasn't the teacher's fault, it was mine. Inhale, reach the arms out and up. I didn't listen to my body cues. Exhale, arms out and down. We got one more round. Inhale, reaching the arms out and up. Exhale, folding in. Inhale, reaching the chest forward. Bend your knees, plant your hands, left foot and then right foot back. Coming through your push-up or just come down to your belly. I know that I have sensitive wrist friends, be careful. Inhale into your upper dog, or I'm showing low cobra again, just in case. And then exhale back, we meet in downward facing dog. Imagine that pyramid and the crux, the very tippity top, the apex of your pyramid reaching mightily up to the sky. Inhale your right leg into the air behind you, float it forward between the hands, however you need to get it there, do it. Bring the left heel down, and I'm gonna switch so you can see me on this side, right? I'm bringing a block maybe inside my right leg, depending on your body. Otherwise, I'm dropping down. I'm gonna bring the left hand on the hip, and I'm gonna see if I can't start to bring that right hip in and roll my left shoulder open. I might do a little actual assist by bringing my left hand to my right hip, pulling the right hip in and lifting the left shoulder up. You're just doing what you can today. If you're still rolling down a little bit, it's okay today, right? And if you need to bring that arm up, you bring that arm up. So we're just working towards that classical posture as best we can. Now, maybe you reach that arm all the way over, left pinky finger rotating down to the earth, push the left heel down, lengthen out of that side waist. Now, this is gonna be the hardest thing you do. Drop into that right thigh, stay in it, come up to warrior two, nice and slow, like, oh my gosh, ow, right? And then from there, try to stay sunk in, I'll call it. Left hand, left thigh, right arm up, do not lift the right thigh. Lengthen out of that, get that side body, maybe turn to look beyond the bicep. You're almost there. And bring it down. Last vinyasa of class, what some people call vinyasa, although technically that's just breath and movement linked. And coming forward through your push-up, or not. Inhaling into low cobra or upward dog, or not. Exhaling back to downward facing dog. Have I told you yet how much I love you? Take an inhale. With an exhale, you're gonna walk your hands back to your feet. You'll end up at the back of your mat, the opposite of how we normally do at this point in class. Walk your feet out as wide as your mat. Turn your feet out a little bit so they're more at a 45. Tight-hipped friends, you might want a block or two. And if it's okay to start squatting down, you might squat down. Now, I could do this on the edge of a coffee table or a couch if my hips are tight, and that way I can still get the work. I might come down to a block. I might hover. They're all awesome, right? So with those arms in between the legs as best you can, isometric push-pull between the arms and the legs. Push your inner heels down and see if you can't find that little igniting of your pelvic floor. When I push down, all of a sudden my whole spine is like, oh, gotcha. Thank you, pelvic floor, right? Breathing from there. Are you breathing? Please breathe. Please breathe. Take one more breath. Ooh, let's come up. Fingertips on the ground. Start to straighten the legs. Walk the feet in. And hands on the rim of the pelvis. Come all the way up. Pause. Notice anything that you're feeling, right? Through the whole body, but particularly through that, I always think it's kind of from here to about here region, you know, doing this work. So we got one more piece of work. That's what I used to get called by my grandpa. You were a piece of work, right? So from there, you're a card. You should be dealt with. Ha, 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 ha. We're going to balance. I'm going to show it to you real quick. That way you don't have to worry about looking at me and losing your balance. So you might join me by just lifting the heel, keeping that hip in. You might bend the knee. You're going to see if, like we did in Half Happy Baby, you remember that? We can grab two peace fingers around the ball mound of the big toe. Now we're going to hug the knee and the arm in together like we just did in Malasana, right? And we might stay right here. We might reach it out. We might go to the side, and I'm going to keep my knee a lot more bent because I can tell I'm going to lose it, right? So whatever you need to do, you can use a wall. You can also, if it helps you, to have that chair. Boop. Awesome, right? It's more about, yes, it's about balance, but it's very much about your hippies, right? So left foot's going to plant solidly on the ground. We'll lift the right leg first. Hands on the hips. Simply bend the knee, or I could say lift the heel and hug the hip in. Keep that low belly turned on, and go ahead and start to bring that leg up and see if your two peace fingers can grab around the ball mound of your toe. Lengthen that spine just as much as you can, right? And then maybe you start to push that heel out in front of you. The knee can totally stay bent. That is totally fine, right? And see if maybe on an inhale, you can start to reach the leg out to the side. And then bring it back to center and set that down on the ground. Okay, nice. I just wanted to sneak a peek at all my peeps. Okay, so now you're gonna go ahead and we're gonna look at that other side. So from there, right, you're gonna really plant the right foot down on the ground and put the hands on the hips or the chair or the wall or the whatever you wanna put it on. Again, it's about balance, but not entirely today. I'd rather have you focus on the hip and use a darn chair. As you lift the heel, low belly, pelvic floor, start to lift the leg. You can lean forward to get it. 2 peace fingers around the ball mound of the big toe. Use a strap if you need to, but I'm actually encouraging you not to unless you need it today, right? Shoulder blade down, long spine, hugging arm and leg together. That might be it for you. Maybe you start to push that heel forward. You do not have to straighten the leg. That is not the point here. Keep the shoulder in the socket. And then maybe that leg, not the arm, the leg reaches out to the side. Keep hugging the right glute. And back to center. And go ahead and put that foot down on the ground. And maybe a little wiggle jiggle, just a little bit. Just kind of loosen and let go of all that stuff. And then stand up nice and tall in Tadasana. Finding that you are long, right? Your spine is elongated, but you're not rigid. I'm in Tadasana, look at me, right? Let it be nice and gentle, we'll say. Close the eyes and tune in. Go ahead and open those eyes. So I'm going to encourage you to come down to your buttocks through chair pose, but of course you never ever have to do that. So you're going to choose the one that feels right for your body. But if you're going to try to join me, you'll be up towards the top of your mat so that you don't hit buttocks or in case you roll back your head, right? You don't want to knock your noggin. And then from there, you're going to reach those arms out and up. Find all that length coming out of the pelvis that we've tried to accrue throughout class, right? Move into your imaginary block so you find that pelvic floor. That's super important here, right? And then keep moving into that block even as you start to sit in that imaginary chair behind you. The translation to this is fierce pose, right? And you're going to try to keep coming down. At some point in time, you might need to let the knees go wide or use fingertips or whatever you need. And you're going to do that when that time happens for you. But otherwise, you'll try to come onto your buttocks. And if you just rolled onto your back, come back up to seated. Meet me there. Oops, I need to tilt my camera down a little bit, don't I? Okay, something like that. Yep, okay, awesome. Thank you for your patience, friends. Let those legs go out wide. Maybe you're going to choose to sit on height so that that beautiful pelvis that we've been encouraging to soften and to open gets the support system that it needs. I don't always need it, but sometimes I do it just because it feels really nice and my pelvis is like, oh, this is so much easier, man, right? Get nice and tall. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and let our feet turn in. Now, when I say that, remember, I'm asking for the humerus bone to move into internal rotation. So it's not just your toes. Don't tweak your knees. Rotate the femurs and see if you can't point them in a little pigeon-toed. Start that way. You might change it in a little bit, but start that way if you can. You might already be in your work. You might be like, whoa, wait, bend the knees a little bit if you need to. But maybe you start that forward fold. Low belly toned in for my flexible friends. Remember, we have the habit of lifting our tailbone up off the ground here, and then we're stretching, overstretching a ligament. We really don't want to overstretch. It's not a good thing. And as you soften in, find maybe a block, forearms to the ground, whatever works for you, forehead to a block, a chair, a coffee table, a couch pillow. Now, just for giggles, maybe those feet are still in pigeon-toed. You can even look over at them. Try to get them in there if you can, just to work the internal rotation for a moment, and then play with it. If this hurts your sacrum, or it's not feeling good, let your toes point up to the ceiling. Now, this feels a little easier on my body, it's true, but I need a little more internal rotation because I naturally walk like a duck, and my piriformis and my other external hip rotators are super tight. So this one, while it's not easier, stretches more of what I need stretched. So what do you need? I don't know. I'm not in your body. Inhale, reach the chest forward and come on up. We're going to grab our inner knees to pull the soles of our feet together. Last time for wide-legged, for anyone whose hips are like, oh my goodness gracious, right? Hands on the shins. Get really tall and long. And then maybe you stay right there, but maybe you start that fold. Long spine initially until you find your edge, and then there's that softening down and in. And breathing. Definitely breathing once you get there. Check into your shoulders, your neck, your jaw, all that stuff. And then see if you can push your pinky toe and your pinky side of the heel together. Your feet might open a little bit like a book. That's not the objective, but if you're noticing that happening, it's okay. What I want you to notice, whether or not your feet open or not, is if you push your pinky toe to your pinky heel together, if that doesn't help the inner groin elongate a little bit, yeah? AKA knees closer to floor, but it's not that you're trying to get your knees to the ground, you're trying to lengthen your inner groin, right? So why do people ask you to do these things? It's always, I think, a really good thing to know. I move differently when I do. Inhale, reach the chest forward and come on up, grabbing outer knees, bringing feet together, letting those legs come out in front of you. Check into those bubbies. Hello, babies, right? And let's do hamstrings for good measure. Little core strength on the way in. Right? Inhale, reach those arms up. When I do that, hopefully my spine does not buckle behind me. Hopefully it stays intact or long, I could say. And then I'm going to start to fold forward, bringing the hands down before I lose my spine. Pulling the shins back and the elbows a little wide. That might help me. Here's that triangle shape again. So think of your tailbone reaching back as you fold over. Knees can totally be bent, right? And then softening in that last little bit. Now, if you have any low back issues, you might stay with that longer spine. That might be more beneficial for your body. Check in, see what you like, right? And breathe without being crazy pants. Maybe those pinky toes moved forward. If they did, maybe gently you pull them back to the outer hips and start to encourage your outer leg line to participate in this stretch. Inhale, reaching the chest forward, coming on up. So we are going to go into a quad stretch when we get to our back. If that makes you want to have a strap handy, have a strap handy if you know your quads are quite tight, okay? But I'm going to try and talk us into what I think is one of the more gentler quad stretches, not meaning you're not going to feel it, just meaning hopefully it's accessible. Feet on the ground, knees bent, buttocks in the middle of the mat. If you want a little extra core on the way down, that low belly toning in, even though I try to keep my shoulder blades helping my chest lift, right? Once you get down to the ground, let's go ahead and go right into that quad stretch, and then we'll do a twist, and we're pretty much in Shavasana. So you're gonna roll, I'm just gonna say roll onto the side body with your head facing, so if you need to see the screen, your head is facing the screen. So you can do whichever side you need to, and I'm gonna talk about top and bottom. If you need a support system underneath your head, you're gonna do that with a blanket, probably not a block on medium, a D on low, or your arm, whatever you need. I'm gonna have my head at a slightly strange angle because I got my little head pieces in, right? Now, the knees can be bent to start. That bottom leg will stay there. And you're going to go ahead and you're going to bring your top leg, bring the knee towards the chest and grab your ankle, right? And then try not to let the knee lift when you do this, right? It's going to want to go up. Try to keep it at the height of the buttocks bone. Bring the heel towards the buttocks and start to reach the knee down towards what would be the bottom of your mat where your feet originally were, yeah? And then, as always, anytime I coach quad, it's about the knee moving down and away, but the frontal hip point pulling up. So those two pieces of the body moving in opposite directions usually pretty squarely provide a quad stretch, right? You got 4 different muscles. Where are you feeling it? Is it in the center of the belly or inner or outer? Usually center for most folks here, but if not, it's a good thing to notice about yourself. Take one more breath. And if you're like, I'm not feeling like it, it's okay. It's still getting a stretch. And if you're not feeling a lot in your heels towards your buttocks, your quads probably aren't super tight. Awesome. That's fantastic for you. Release that. And then we're going to roll onto our backs and just roll to the other side. I'm going to flip myself just in case folks need to see a little more detail. Knees are bent initially. Head is supported, however that's best for you. Bring the knee towards the chest, grab the ankle, try to leave the knee the height of the buttocks bone as you reach that knee towards the bottom of your mat, the foot side of your mat. Now keep the knee reaching down that way, but pull your frontal hip point, your top frontal hip point towards your head, and hopefully those two things moving away from each other start to say, oh, hello, quads, right? And again, if I said right or left at any point in time, I apologize. We're working with the top leg right now, whatever that happens to be for you. Take an inhale and release that. Roll onto your back body. With your feet on the ground, you're going to pick your hips up and move your hips just a little bit left of center. Straighten the right leg. Bring the left knee up, right hand to outer left leg, left arm tees out, inhale, exhale, rolling onto your side body. So we went towards the stretch, some of us did. Maybe the head turns to the left in the beginning of class. I'm curious if it feels any differently now. And now this next thing that I'm going to coach you into, I don't always coach, so it might be new. You're going to see if the left foot can come down to the ground and then bend the right knee up into the left so that your left leg is crossed over your right like you're sitting in a chair in a skirt. And you're going to let the knees move closer to the body and then move that over. If that does, or let it soften down. If that doesn't make sense, just stay where you were, right? But this might start to encourage a little bigger of a stretch in your outer left hippie. And it might not, or it might be somewhere else. Take one more breath. Really slowly, just start to lengthen your right leg down to the bottom of the mat. Roll onto your left. So the same dismount. We're coming out the same way we went in. Feet on the ground, moving those hips over towards the right side of your mat, lengthening the left leg. Let the right knee come towards the chest, left hand to outer right knee, right arm tees out, inhale. Exhale, rolling onto left side body. And you're not trying to get the knee to the earth or anything. You might turn your head to the right and just starting to say hello, wringing out your organs, wringing out your spine a little bit. Is this different than when you did it at the beginning of class? If you chose to hug the knee up. And now the next one, again, I try to bring my right free knee a foot towards the earth, and I'm going to hug my left leg up into that right leg, so my thighs touch. And then I might even bring my knees a little closer to my left elbow. I might not, right? I might leave my left arm over. Again, you can kind of find the variation that works for you. Hopefully, maybe if you chose this version, it feels like it's getting a little deeper in your right buttocks. So they're basically Gomukhasana legs, my friends who know that pose. And again, to come out of it, we're dismounting the same way we got in. You're going to straighten your left leg to the bottom of your mat, roll the right hip down, roll the right leg out. Our hips are a little offset, so if you need the feet on the ground to do that, you can, or you might just, from here, push into your heels and move those hips back. If you're wondering, gosh, did my hips get centered? You can always really gently lift the head, and then your nose would be in line with your belly button, would be in line with your pubic bone. And I'm saying that as if it's a true for everybody, but it's a generalization. Somewhere about there. Soften the head back down. Do your little wiggles, shoulder blades in place, arms a little out, whatever it is that you need in order to get yourself into your Shavasana. And then once you find that comfortable and open position, go ahead and bring your awareness before I leave you with a little bit of silence. I would love for you to just take a few moments right off the bat with your awareness in your sacrum, that triangular shaped bone, right? Where your tailbone would be the bottom point of that. How does the sacrum feel against the floor at this point? Is your right part of the sacrum moved down closer to the earth or the left? Or neither at this point? Is your right side of the sacrum and hip moving up to the right shoulder or vice versa? Would that be the left side, or is that released a little bit for you? Is it the same as when you checked in the beginning? Is it different? If so, how? And breathing, of course. And you could bring your awareness into your breath for just a few moments, and maybe a couple more times. Invite that breath to come all the way down towards the pubic bone and the tailbone. And if you have another, pardon me, technique that you work with for Shavasana or meditation, take it. But otherwise today, every time that you inhale, I want you to think about, pardon me, Jiminy Christmas, that breath going from the nostrils up to your third eye. And every time you exhale from your third eye, that's between your eyebrows, if you're unfamiliar, down through the nose. Anyone who knows anatomy, by the third eye is a big sinus cavity. So breathing from your nostrils up into that sinus cavity, following the breath up, and then with an exhale from the sinus cavity down to the nostrils. And every time the mind gets distracted, not a big deal, you'll bring it back. And then maybe for the last few breaths, you just stay right in that third eye center. If behind your eyelids you happen to see a little patch of dark midnight black, see if that can expand or visualize, imagine it expanding over your whole eyes. So you've got that beautiful midnight blue black behind your eyelids. Indigo, some people would call that. And then bring your awareness back to your belly and to your limbs. And if you want to move the limbs at all, move the limbs. And eventually, but you are not rushing to do this, you will take and make your way so slowly and softly up to a seated position. And I will be there, but I'm not in a rush. So please don't rush for me. And you're at your house. If you want to stay here and it's feeling super groovy, tune me out and stay there for as long as you want. Cross-legged, on a block, kneeling, with or without, whatever you need, sitting on a chair, if the hips so desire that at this point, coffee table, unless you're going to get in trouble for sitting on a coffee table. Just notice those hippies. And of course, going down into the legs, coming up into the low back, anything else that you happen to notice. Bring those palms together in front of your heart. Take a big old breath. With an exhale, go ahead and bow your head in towards your heart, moving that heart towards, or the head towards the heart. Hopefully those two make decisions together. Taking a moment of gratitude. And let's us, our little group, send out to all beings everywhere. Just may all beings everywhere be well. I think we've got like 2.9 billion in the world, something like that. Well, and if you want to add in our four-legged friends or all the other winged friends, etc. Namaste, friends.